Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Basara 2. So, now that we've finished with Keiji, we're going to be playing as a new character. We're going to be playing as Chosokabe Motochika, the Ogre of the Western Sea. So, he was previously unplayable in Basara 1, although he did make an appearance. So, this is the first time he will actually be playable, and he is awesome. So, obviously he's a pirate, or at least he is in the context of this game. I'm going to be talking more about the actual historical person probably in the next video, because this particular first battle has a lot to do with how he ties into the anime as well, so I'm probably going to be talking about that more so at first. But apparently a lot of the banter between his pirate crew, his motley crew of scurvy dogs, they refer to him as either Big Bro or Big Brother most of the time. But he's fire elemental, as you can see by his secondary attacks there, so we're going to go ahead and get ourselves set up. He has quite a lot of health actually too. He's pretty strong. I'm equipping the same accessories that I always do for these. I don't believe I showed these on screen when I did Keiji, and I probably won't be showing them on screen again for the rest of the game because it'll be the same setup going forward here. So the very first battle here is actually up against Hideyoshi again, just like we did at the end of the previous video. So Hideyoshi has invaded our ship. In the context of the anime, Motochika and Mori are rivals, and they are the reoccurring rivalry throughout the entire series, just like Yukimura and Masamune. And in this case, of course, they stayed pretty much neutral in the conflict between Nobunaga and literally everyone else, and finally joined in towards the end to make a difference at the final battle. So they sort of showed up out of nowhere, and then the end of Basara Season 1 had a episode that was dedicated to explaining how they got involved. So for Season 2, right away, Hideyoshi recruits Mori to his side. So Motochika is left obviously opposing Mori and therefore opposing Hideyoshi. He sort of just wants to keep his land safe. He rules over the inland sea of Seto and his one little island that resides there pretty much. I can't remember the name of it. It was the Tosa province is what it was. So in spite of the fact that obviously he's portrayed as a pirate and you'd think that would make him a bad guy, really, Motochika is portrayed as mostly a likable and endearing character in most of Basara, especially as far as the anime is concerned. Basara 3, things get really gray, and I'll talk more about that when we get to that. We might even play as him again when we get to Basara 3, but he's one of my favorite characters, absolutely, and has a very striking design. And he fights with a giant anchor, and he fights really well with it. So he's a bit similar to Keiji in terms of strength and the fluidity of his moves, but with a few distinct differences. Obviously his fire elemental and then his secondary moves are very, very different. So there's a chest over there we can get to it, but I'm not able to get to it right now. But that's a nice little secret area you can venture up to if you wish. So we're on Motochika's pirate ship, and in the anime, Motochika had built himself a massive sea fortress with enormous cannons on it called Fugaku, and it had these like ridiculously huge, like several feet wide cannons on it that are impossibly huge even by today's standards. Like no one would ever make a boat like this, but it's Motochika and this is Basara, so we'll forgive it. His voice, despite being kind of high and raspy in the Japanese voice actor, he's voiced by Patrick Seitz in the American release, so obviously he has that very, very gruff voice, and it's quite appropriate for him actually, so quite like that. But anyway, so apparently Hideyoshi decided he would invade our boat. In the anime, this is the infamous episode that earns Hideyoshi his reputation. And I'll get to that when we actually fight him up pretty soon here. But first we have to obviously fight Takanaka Hanbei as usual. And how many times do you think I'll say that before the end of the Let's Play? I think there should be a counting gag or something for that. But yeah, he has the two secondary moves I have for Motochika right now is the move where he sort of swings on his anchor from his chain and just plows through the enemies in front of him, which is a very effective move. It's one of my favorite moves for him. And the other one is where he for some reason traps the enemies in front of him into a net, and then you can further attack them. That one is cool and all. It's effective against regular enemies, but it's very unreliable against larger enemies, or obviously bosses. His Basara attack is pretty good. Doesn't last as long as Keiji's, but very few of them do. And the final move is like a meteor strike almost with the anchor that deals fire damage, so it's pretty good. So these are probably going to be a little more challenging than Keiji's was, so we're not quite as powerful. So I've really got to watch my health here in fighting Hanbei, because this is a pretty challenging fight to go into right at the very beginning of his campaign. Like, good lord. Like, where do we go from here after we've beat the most powerful people in the country, pretty much? Obviously, we're going to have to fight Mori. Yeah, later on... Oh, this is an example of something I don't think I've been able to show off yet. So this is something that is new to Basara 2 that we see quite often, actually. It's an object in the environment. Oh, we just got savaged by Hanbei, and that probably won't be the last time either. But... yeah, we can keep hitting this object over and over again, and it just keeps spitting out coins, so I will probably be taking advantage of that whenever I see it, but really there's no purpose for me to do that whatsoever, because I don't really use those coins for anything. We don't really need those points at all. I don't care what I... Ow! Look at that. That bastard recovered some of his health. Well, screw you, Hanbei. We're done with you. Of course, if I were to use my Basara attack in the correct direction, that might help a little bit. His gauge is filling up pretty fast, but he's done. We're not going to let him wreak havoc anymore. We took a hell of a lot of damage from that, though. Like I said, this is a pretty dangerous fight early on, so got to be very wary of that, of course. I should be able to play it safe for a little bit and recover some of my health before going up there to fight Hideyoshi. At least this isn't like when we fight Hideyoshi in Basara 4, because Hideyoshi is not alone then, and I'll get to that when I get to that. One day. So one of the cannons decided to lower so we can walk up the scaffolding on top and get up there. I don't know how much of this ship's construction is at all practical, even in the context of this game. I mean, it does appear to be mostly wooden, some metal, but I imagine these were very, very difficult and expensive to construct back in the day. I don't imagine that this was at all easy, or that you would find nearly this much metal, or hell, even the cannons for that matter. But you gotta start somewhere. I really don't feel like Japan had much of a navy or anything during this time period. Maybe they did, but I feel like the technology was kind of more of a Western thing, honestly. But that is sort of the parody aspect of his character. I mean, obviously the real Motochika was nothing like this. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and fight Hideyoshi. So... again, Hideyoshi being obscenely powerful and showing his, well, show of power, he decides that what he wants to do is, he wants to go fight Motochika himself instead of having Mori go do it. So he marches his army to the edge of the sea, and then Motochika starts shelling the hell out of him with his ship, as he would, of course. And then Hideyoshi does the one thing that makes him infamous amongst people who don't even know Basara casually know about this moment. He punches the sea and wins. Sends all the water in the inland sea of Seto flying up into the sky and completely dries up the lake bed, which allows all of his troops to just march onto the ocean floor and board Mori's ship. I'm sorry, Motochika's ship. It's ridiculous. It is the most badass and yet it's the most over-the-top moment in any anime that's not a Dragon Ball series or a Trigger series, pretty much. And it's awesome, and I love it. So, yeah. So in the anime, after that happens, this is the famous episode where we almost. I would like to believe that Motochika meets his end, and you can see why. I warned you guys about that attack in the previous video, but we never got to see it on screen until now. Motochika is not going to meet his end today, because he's going to take out Hideyoshi whether he likes it or not. I'm going to air chuckle his ass into a blaze of glory. What do you think of that, you son of a bitch? But yeah, we were led to believe that Motochika met his end in that episode, but he does come back later on and actually team up with Masamune to fight Matsunaga Hisahide, who's another character we have not met yet.